Did Eddie Redmayne just audition for James Bond?
Is the Bondathon continuing? Okay, so we finished No Time to Die. And like I said in the last episode, I was sad that we were done.
Yeah.
And I was telling Braden this, and he goes, well, hell, let's just watch Day of the Jackal. You'll like it.
Because I was getting Bond vibes from it.
Yes.
When I watched it last year, I think.
Yeah, I think
was
so.
it this year? It came out last year. But yeah, I was getting total James Bond vibes. So.
And I see it.
Yeah, you see it, right?
Yeah, I definitely see it.
There's just a lot of hopping across the world, or really Europe, hopping across Europe. The intro is very James Bondy.
Yeah.
Like they have a song, and it sounds like it sounds like Skyfall, really.
Yeah.
And then they've got, anyway, the whole way that the title sequence is done just sort of screams James Bond. And you've got this British guy who's a handsome guy, and he dresses really well and
he's
kills people.
Yoked AF.
He's not yoked.
Well, he does.
He's lean.
Really? Isn't he pretty?
He's not bulky.
Okay.
He's not big.
But he's pretty fit.
He's very fit. Yeah, very fit, but not big.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of turtlenecks, right? Many locations. What do you think?
This is so stupid. I wrote, my first note is, right, so the name is Jackal. That's his name. And I wrote jacked all. So stupid.
What was
like Jackal, but he's jacked.
Oh, okay.
So dumb. Why did I write that down? I'm embarrassed. I really should cut this one. I'm not going to.
That's funny. Did you like my
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did you like the joke I made where never mind. Maybe we'll come back to that in spoilers.
Okay. So the plot of the show pretty much is Eddie Redmayne, his name is Charles in the show.
Sorry, Eddie who?
Redmayne? What's his name?
You said Redman.
Oh, I couldn't remember.
Like, is he from the north of California? Eddie. Oh wait, that's Redding. Isn't Redmond a city too?
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind. Keep going. Continue.
Eddie Redmayne?
Eddie Redmayne.
Okay, his name is Charles, and he is a hitman.
Yeah.
He kills people for money.
Yeah.
And there's this hit. Really, the whole season revolves around this one hit that he's supposed to take.
Yeah.
The guy that plays Princess Diana's boyfriend in The Crown. What's his name?
The character?
No.
I don't know. I don't know
the
that actor's name. I don't know.
I thought you did.
No.
Okay. Well, his name is UDC, and he basically is this big tech guy, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to be very philanthropic, and you're kind of supposed to understand why people like him, but he just rubs me the wrong way. Something about him.
Well, he's also like a very privileged. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm totally willing to let all of my money go, and all billionaires should feel this way.
Yeah.
Because he's basically releasing this product that gives financial transparency to literally everybody.
It shows. He calls it river, and he says, "Let river flow" or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Shut up! Stop saying that." And he's like, "Yeah, I want everybody to be able to see where everybody's money comes from." Okay. I mean, I think maybe it's going to be very eye-opening for the very elite people, but most people are just going to be like, "Oh, he's a construction worker." Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. What do you think about his product that he's selling?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Well, it represents a clear violation of privacy for people that are getting their money legally. I like that it can
legally.
Yeah, legally. Yeah. But I like the idea that it could f up the lives of people that really deserve it.
Right, but what about like governments?
Huh?
Government agencies.
Uh-huh.
In some ways, sure, that sounds nice to see how much money they're getting and what they're spending it on. But
that's all public though, isn't it?
But defense is private, isn't it?
No, I think you know how much is allocated for defense in the budget.
But you don't know how it's being used.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Sort of like the blockchain.
What?
Right, crypto.
Oh.
Dump your money in crypto, guys.
Oh my gosh.
The blockchain. But you liked it, right? The show.
The show. Did we give enough of the plot?
Oh, anyway, yeah, he's a contract killer, and he's trying to balance his this secret life with his family life, and his family has no idea what he does. He's very rich because he's really good at what he does, but they have no idea who he is. And also a fun fact, so this is a re-release, I guess, of a let me back up. It was a novel, The Day of the Jackal, was adapted into a movie in the 70s, and then this is sort of like a reboot of The Day of the Jackal from that movie from the 70s. But originally,
Taking inspiration from the book.
yeah, but originally the book was loosely inspired by a real life guy named Carlos the Jackal, who was a lone wolf terrorist that operated, I think, like in the 60s, maybe
Where?
Europe. He like kidnapped every member of it's like this international group of basically experts on energy, oil, and stuff like that. Kidnapped all of them at the same time from under everybody's noses in London and held them for ransom and got a ton of money. And he did other things too. And he was very notoriously hard to pin down. He was just really smart, really good at what he did. So that's a little bit of fun fact. And this guy, the main character is named Charles, which is Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he lives in Spain. Just
And
fun
his
little
son's name
connections.
is Carlito.
Carlitos, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask you this. Do you think that assassins count as serial killers?
No,
Why?
because isn't the definition of a serial killer someone that is like compelled to kill?
I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe. Hang on. Let's see. Let's see what the definition of serial killer is. Someone who murders three or more people with a cooling off period between each murder over a period of more than a month. Oh, that's AI. Let's see the actual dictionary definition. A person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive, and typically following a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern. No, I don't think he is.
Okay, this
Because
is what mine says. Assassins are typically contract killers motivated by financial gain, blah, blah, blah. Serial killers, on the other hand, are driven by psychological or
yeah,
emotional needs, choosing their victims based on personal. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that because
yeah,
it kills a ton of people.
yeah, he does, and that bothered me the first time I watched this because I'd just been playing the Hitman games, and you get a really bad score if you kill innocent people. If you kill, if you kill anyone other than the target,
Yeah.
and Charles from scene one, because the first scene of this show is him disguising himself as this security guard, and then he walks by the dead body of the security guard who he's impersonating, and
Not a
then
security guard, he's the
oh,
cleaner.
he's the janitor,
Yeah.
and then he goes off and kills like two innocent people, shoots another guy in the leg and escapes, and then he does his hit later, and I was like, okay, he's getting a bad score on this Hitman level. He's killing way too many people that don't need to be involved. But this time I'm like, yeah, it's a show. Lighten up, you know?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, in a way, I kind of liked it because it shows this show was not perfect. You know,
Yeah.
he had a plan, and it doesn't always go according to plan,
Right.
and because of that, people had to die.
And he's also sociopathic and he doesn't really care about
Right,
what he's doing.
for the most part.
Yeah. So, yeah. How'd you like his first hit?
That was crazy
Yeah.
at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he sets up this. He has a suitcase. This was wild to me.
Hmm.
You know, he has a suitcase.
Yeah, that he has a suitcase.
Yeah, who does that?
Who has a suitcase?
Who has suitcases? I'm
Yeah.
literally looking at our suitcases right now.
Yeah.
Um, and he has his rifle.
His rifle
Yeah, broken down
into
into
pieces
that make up his suitcase, basically. So the pulley up handle.
is both parts of the barrel. That was another thing that was in this show. Like there's so Lashana Lynch is in it. She's an MI6 intelligence officer, and she's a gun expert. And she is like, it's not possible for that gun to be in that suitcase because
The barrel
the
need to have
barrel
been.
needs to be longer. Like there's no way he could have made, because he takes a shot that's over 2 miles long
I think
for
it's.
the first.
I think it's almost 2.5, like
Yeah,
2.4 or something.
right. She's like, there's no way that he took that rifle's in the suitcase, because they have a CCTV image of him leaving the hotel, but he's got a hat on and a coat, and they can't tell who it is, and he's carrying the suitcase. They're able to get the dimensions of the suitcase, and she's like, that there's no way that gun is in there unless the barrel is in two parts. And everybody's like, that's impossible. There is not a way to make a barrel in two parts that can take a shot like that. It's not possible, right? And then the lead is, okay, well, let's assume that it is in the suitcase. So that means that he would have had to have that rifle made bespoke, custom. So who are the gun makers in the world that could pull something like this off? And they follow the lead from there. And it's but that first scene where he shoots the son of the target in the knee
Which we don't know
to
at the
draw,
beginning.
yeah, to draw him into the hospital,
To then draw the target to the
and
hospital and then take the
to have
shot.
that window of opportunity, yeah, to shoot him, and then he hits him from 2.5 miles away. So it's good. And then they're playing Alt J as he's escaping.
Yeah, the
You like
music
that?
in this was really good.
Yeah. Do you think our friend George will be upset if he ever watches this show that they used Alt J and Radiohead in the same episode?
Probably.
For context, that little inside joke, we were hanging out with some people, and I mentioned, don't you feel like Alt J and Radiohead are kind of similar?
No, you said
Or I
that
said
Alt J is the modern Radiohead.
right. I said something about Alt J, and he's like, I hate Alt J, and I know he likes Radiohead, so I said that Alt J is the Radiohead of today, and only because they both are very alternative and they like to do things different, and they're both English. Their style of music is not really similar very much at all.
When our friend got
He
pissed
got
and
so
his
mad.
and his dad was there, and George is like, "Dad, did you just hear what Braden said?" And the dad's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
Alt J is actually better than Radiohead.
yeah, I actually agree with Braden."
But then right after this, we watched Day of the Jackal, and in that first episode, they have an Alt J song and a Radiohead song in the same episode,
Yeah.
thus proving that they are the same, really. So deal with it. I have a note here that says turtlenecks. Everyone's wearing turtlenecks. Charles's wife, Charles's new handler person, they're all wearing turtlenecks all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so Charles is married to this woman named Nuria, and they live in Spain, and they have a kid.
In Cadiz.
Yeah. Nuria's family sucks.
Yeah, they're so annoying.
They suck. Oh my gosh, do they suck. So,
including the kid. Just kidding.
no.
Nothing wrong with the kid.
No.
Yeah.
Nuria's brother, his name is
Alvaro.
And at the beginning of the show, comes to Charles and is like, Charles, I have
Mira, Charles, have a business opportunity for you.
way worse English than that. His English is so broken.
Yeah.
And is like, yeah, I have a business proposition. I just need you to invest on my behalf, basically. Because apparently this guy hasn't had a job for longer than 5 minutes in his whole life.
Yeah.
And then the mom is like,
he's just a loser.
He's a loser. And his mom just enables the crap out of him.
And then at one point, they find Charles. Well, is that spoilery?
No.
At one point, they find a secret room in the house with money and
Charles'
stuff.
safe room, basically, where he has all of his stuff.
And Alvaro's like, Mira, Nuria, I just need $40,000. That's it. And then, they know that something's going on with Charles and there's something sketchy about this, but you're still stealing from him.
Yeah.
And
mom, and really, you're stealing from Nuria.
And the mom is like,
Nuria, he needs it.
You should do it. Nothing makes me happier. This is a beautiful thing when you help your brother. F*** off.
After the mom has been talking shit about Charles for the whole season, and to be fair,
there's a lot of red flags.
Charles is not a good guy. Yeah. Not to defend an assassin or anything, but
yeah,
Nuria's family fucking sucks.
I mean, on if we're doing a scale of assassins, and we've got Mr. In Between on the high end of the scale of morality, right? He's the high end. Who's the worst assassin ever in all of fiction? Just a piece of shit. Who would that be? Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men?
Oh, no, I think he's actually a serial killer.
He might be. Well, He might be.
No, I think he is.
But no, but he was sent by someone to kill people in that.
Oh, he was. I
So
don't
his
remember.
job technically is an assassin, but he also does kill people on a whim, seemingly.
Okay.
Okay, you don't want to count him?
I don't.
Who
I don't
else?
know.
Who else would it be then?
I
I,
guess we can.
I'm just
I
gonna
guess we can
say
count
I'm
him.
just gonna say Anton Chigurh. Charles is much closer to Anton Chigurh
Yeah.
than he is to Mr. In Between. But in a weird way, you really want him to succeed.
So weird.
Yeah, I said this when I talked about the show because I actually have.
I think we talked
We
about this
have
on
an
the.
episode where
Yeah.
I talked about the show already, but now that Mike has seen it, we got to do it again.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
But I said that in my original
Yeah.
comments, like I don't know why, but I want him to win. I'm rooting for him the whole time. I want him to kill UDC.
Well, I want him to keep his family, and I don't want Nuria to leave. I
Yeah.
want Nuria and Charles to end up together.
Is that wrong?
And like, why the hell is Nuria's mom trying to break them up? That catty bitch.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Remember that? Did I ever show you that interview where what's his name? Jason Alexander, the guy that played George Costanza, talks about his favorite George Costanza line. And it's when he gets fired from the Yankees.
Oh.
And it's because he was sleeping with the maid in his office.
That wasn't that one.
Yeah. And he's like, that was my favorite moment because
Was that
someone comes in and they're like, well, George, it's become apparent to us that you've been having sex with the cleaning lady in your office. And George is like, was that wrong? Because believe me, if someone had told me that was frowned upon, I wouldn't have done it. He's just like, he knows it's wrong. He knows that he needs to find a way out of it, and that's his solution.
Is that wrong?
Is that wrong?
That was so funny.
Yeah.
But this isn't really a spoiler, but like the episode where Charles is trying to finish the job, I had so much anxiety. I was telling Braden about this. You know, what he's doing is wrong. Being a hired hitman is bad.
I kill people for money.
Right. But why did I want him to succeed?
Yeah.
I had so much anxiety leading up to, that episode, and I was like,
is he gonna pull it off?
Is he gonna do it?
Yeah.
Because like I said, this is not a perfect show in the way that, he has a plan. He needs to do X.
You mean his plan doesn't go off?
That's
perfectly.
What I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But you want him to succeed. How did they do that?
I don't know. It's weird, right? They make you root for a total villain.
Yeah.
Which usually just does not work for me. Like Yellowstone. Well, Yellowstone is a special case because they try to gaslight you into thinking that the Duttons are not villains when they are.
But Mr. In Between?
Mr. In Between is special because they go out of their way to give you things to like about Ray, but then he does these other things that you're like, oh man, I thought you were turning a corner. But he clearly has morality. He's got a code. Charles says, and thinks whatever he needs to get what he wants. He does not have a code at all.
Peaky Blinders?
He has no morality. Tommy has a code. Don't hurt children. He has those moments where you're like, okay, he has enough of what is termed as like traditional good morals for me to be rooting for him. But even like when I watched Breaking Bad, I was like, Walter White is just becoming an evil person that I can't really root for. Charles, though, no. I'm rooting for Charles.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm Team Charles.
Well, and like, why is it that, Charles is not a good person and you're rooting for him?
Yeah.
But then the MI6 officer, what's her name?
Bianca.
Yeah, Bianca. Is like trying to be a good person.
I'm not rooting for her.
But I'm not rooting for
at
her.
all.
Like actively, even in her personal life.
Yeah.
Her husband should leave her.
Yes.
Her daughter should hate her.
Yeah.
That one actually valid a little bit.
She does a great job too.
Right.
Like these really are the co-leads. It's following their story and how they intertwine and meet face to face at one point, and it's really good. But yeah, this is just a very slick show. I think that's the best adjective that I can throw at it. Slick. And I sort of made a joke about this is Eddie Redmayne's audition for Bond. I know it's not going to happen, but could you see it? Do you think?
I think he has too many freckles.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And a thing with his lips.
And he talks like this. He always sounds like he's got like a sinus thing going on, like a congestion. Nuria, I've got to go to the airport. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My nose is so stuffy.
That's pretty good.
But I've got to go to Tallinn to kill someone. I'm so sorry, Nuria.
Wait, let's go back to the safe room. If you found one of those rooms in our house and it was my stuff, would you stay? What would you do? What would be your
I would be
reaction?
very concerned. Well, because first of all, I would assume that you had that bitch wired up and you could see that I broke in. I don't know why the nobody thought,
Well,
oh, there's probably a camera in here because he's got guns and money and passports and a mask making station. Yeah, he probably has some security in
well,
there
why would
too.
okay. Nuria's dumbass brother wouldn't expect him to think, oh yeah, there's a camera in here. Nuria's bitch ass mom, I wouldn't expect her to think of it either. But
Nuria should have
she
thought,
should have thought of it.
yeah. But like she does tell him, right? I like how they don't hold that over the audience forever because she's like, I know about the safe room, Charles. When when he mentions it, I was like, okay, they're not gonna do that tropey whatever.
Yeah. Or they're both pretending that the other doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not really a spoiler, I don't think.
It is a major thing that happens. I don't think it's a spoiler.
So yeah, but this is a really good show, and I'm not gonna say anything more. I think this is very much worth a watch for everybody that may like James Bond. It is violent, but it's not over the top, is it? From what you saw?
There's that one part.
What one part? Yeah, there's some throat cuttings that are kind of like
But I didn't watch.
graphic, and then the shootings are bloody, but they're not so bloody that it's unbearable.
I wouldn't say it's overly graphic.
Yeah, it's violent, and there's a lot of swearing, and there are some.
I think this is what TVMA.
Yeah, it is, and there's some sexy encounters, but none of that is shown in detail. Really, it's PG-13, I would say, in the depiction of
intimate moments.
Yeah. So should we rate it?
Yeah. You go first.
I don't remember what I gave this show.
That's okay. Just give it a new rating.
I just think it's good popcorn fun. It's good, slick, good time, and I enjoy it. And I would give it an 8.5. I'd give it an 8.5. Nuria, Nuria, please, get me. What's the medicine that you take for allergies?
Benadryl?
Nuria, get me the Benadryl for God's sake, please. Out of 10.
What picture do I do for that? Just a picture of
Benadryl or his face. Or maybe both.
Okay.
Ask ChatGPT to generate a picture of Eddie Redmayne drinking Benadryl.
Yeah, so like I said, I was sad when we finished Bond, and this was a good homage to
Chaser,
it. Yeah.
but in reverse. What's that called?
No, it's a chaser goes at the end.
I thought a chaser was at the...
No, you drink alcohol and then you drink like soda or juice
to cleanse, but
to
then
get rid of the taste of the alcohol.
But that's so you can go again, right?
No, it's
just
like the taste of alcohol is gross. Okay. So then you drink something you like.
Yeah.
Right after.
Okay. Bond chaser.
Yeah.
Not to say that the taste of Bond was gross.
Wait, no, yeah, in reverse. It would be in reverse. Wait, I don't think that's a good.
Whatever.
We don't drink alcohol.
That's why, Micah, so many people listen to this. They love this kind of shit. That's why 30 plus people a week listen to those numbers are pretty much
pretty inflated. That's pretty inflated. 30 people?
No, we've been getting like a couple hundred on the last. Well, not a couple hundred, over 100 on the last like 3. The Bondathons have been popular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll fucking see about Day of the Jackal.
Less than 100 people will be there.
1. Yeah.
100 or less.
If you can name that movie reference,
I'd be surprised. Yeah. I will Venmo you $5.
Yeah.
That's all I can afford. I'm unemployed.
Yeah, so comment below and you'll get $5 Venmo to you if you get it. No looking it up. No using AI. Fucking cheaters.
Okay, back to me rating it. I enjoyed this. I was excited every time we turned on the TV because it meant that we got to watch another episode. I think that they did a really good job of making you root for Charles, which is wild to me. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna rate this an 8.75.
Okay.
Suitcases out of 10.
All right, spoiler time.
Spoilers.
I have a couple of games ready.
No, I was gonna ask you something.
Okay.
Do you think that you could work for the government and not tell me what your job was? Like how
If I
Bianca.
what if I explained to you that I couldn't? Is
You
that what
think
you're asking, or would I be able to lie about what I did?
like how Bianca's family knows that she works for the government. But they
Yeah,
don't know what
I
she
think I
does.
could. I think I could do that, as long as I could see a therapist like in Black Bag, if I had to. What I don't think I could do is tell you that I worked for the State Department when in reality I was a spy.
Or for the
That would be
CIA.
really hard because I've been listening to this guy that worked in the CIA, just his interviews. He was the one that whistle blew on the CIA's torture program, and he said it cost him 2 marriages, his job. And the first one, his wife did not understand what was going on, and they were stationed in Greece, and he would have to leave at like 12 o'clock at night, come back at 4 in the morning, and she's like,
You're
"Who
cheating
is
on me.
she?"
Yeah.
And he's like, I've been sitting in a dumpster for the last 2 hours trying to
That's wild.
wait for some documents to be thrown at me. Do I smell like I've been with a woman? And just but like she just couldn't understand.
That's a hard thing.
That would be hard to not be able to explain like what exactly I was doing.
Well, also, I think specifically with us, if you were on a business trip, I'd be like, why can't I go? If you were like, oh, I have to
Oh
go on a
yeah,
business
gotcha,
trip, I'd be like,
gotcha.
okay, why can't
Why
I
can't we
go?
come with you?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm like, you just can't.
right.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
That would be hard. Because even now, like with your job, the possibility of you maybe going on business trips, I'm like, hell yeah, brother.
You want to go?
I'll go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Even if it's to somewhere like Waco, Texas.
I don't care.
Okay. Okay, are you ready for the games?
Yeah.
Okay. First game is Best Gun. You've got gun in a suitcase, gun in a foot brace, gun on a gimbal.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you say best gun, what do you mean by that?
What's the
Whatever it means to me?
Yeah, what's the
Okay.
what's the
I
best one?
think the most creative, gun in a boot.
That was awesome.
That was
And
crazy.
it's 3D printed, only
Yeah,
has
eight
eight shots
shots.
before the barrel will melt.
That was wild.
Yeah,
The one that I liked the best was probably the gimbal.
that
But
was
I
so
but I
cool.
also think like the suitcase was also awesome.
Yeah, I love that was maybe my favorite part of this show. It reminded me a little of John Wick, how like he goes underground in Rome and he gets his bulletproof suit, and you get to see how this world logistically operates. You get to see how the Jackal actually, he's got this gun maker that can break the gun apart and fit it into this suitcase, and then he goes back to the gun maker,
And he's like,
and
"This is my idea. This boot,
and they're able
really
to
cool."
put it in a boot, but he's like, you only got 8 shots. By the way, that episode where they're in where are they again?
They're in
It's Budapest,
Budapest,
near
just outside
Budapest,
of Budapest.
where like things go a bit fucking west, and he is not able to get out of Budapest cleanly, and he has to waste so many shots. I was like stressed. I
So
was like,
stressed.
dude, you don't have any more shots. How are you gonna do this? Or he has like 2 shots by the end.
No, I think he has one.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like on his 7th or his 8th shot
Yeah,
by the end of that
getting out
episode, and
of
then the next
yeah,
one. Like, dude, you gotta stop. You gotta stop using that gun.
yeah. Well, and that part specifically, he literally just goes to the cafe for what food
Yeah,
down the street, and he sees Bianca and her gang show up at the
yeah.
house.
And he has to go back because he has to make sure that the gunmaker doesn't give them
Yeah,
anything. So he kills the gunmaker.
but I also think, like in some way, I think that's what the gunmaker would have wanted.
He would have wanted to die, shot to the head.
I
Yeah,
don't think he would have wanted to be tortured and all. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
And he wouldn't have been able. He wouldn't have made it out alive.
yeah.
Whatever. I don't know.
Does MI6 have a history of torturing people? I'd be a little surprised if they did, because Bianca definitely does.
Torture.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, in the hospital.
Yeah, and Norman. She like, or no,
Norman's brother in the
Norman.
hospital.
No, not yeah that. But then the guy that they talked to that knew Alexander Duggan, she stops him from requesting nurses' assistance to get morphine.
Oh yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
does that. Yeah, so she tortures some people.
Yeah.
I don't think that MI6 does that.
I don't think
Maybe they
so.
do.
At least not. I don't think she is allowed to torture people.
Yeah, that's spooky dooky CIA shit.
Yeah.
That's what the CIA does. That's not what I don't know. If you know anything about MI6 tangentially, don't say anything that'll get you in trouble, obviously, but let us know. Do they torture people? I don't know. Maybe I'll look that up. Okay, the next game. Best kill. Best kill. Long distance headbanger,
At the hospital.
Yep. Sweet Sweet Vengeance.
The
Subtitle Fuck You.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
that was wild. Can we talk about that for a second?
Okay.
So his first hit, the one where he
Kills
is
Fest.
the one where he's the janitor.
Yeah.
He, pretends to be the janitor and he kills two people and then he shoots this guy in the knee. And
To
then,
get him into the hospital to draw his real target out into
right.
the open.
And then the guy who ordered the hit doesn't pay him. And he's like, "Where's my money?" And the guy on the other end of the chat is like, "Fuck you."
Right.
And it turns out it was the guy
The son
the
who
guy
he
who
shot
got
in the
hit
knee.
in the knee.
Yeah.
And so Charles,
Because the way that Charles gets his assignments, there's this like dark web network.
yeah,
Nobody's allowed to know anybody's real identity. You all communicate through a VPN and an encrypted username, and Charles goes the extra step of only doing it from internet cafes, so it would be impossible to trace the IP address, and he's using a VPN the whole time. So like they're very secretive and whatever. So Charles would not have known that it was the son that ordered the hit, and then he reverse engineers
He
things,
figures it
out
out,
who it is.
and it's the son of the guy who he
Yeah,
killed, the one that he shot in the leg.
yeah.
And so he goes and tracks this guy down,
Back to Munich where he did the original hit.
and it's the funeral
Yeah,
day, and he gets into the car with this guy, and he
he's
kills
posing as the
driver, and he kills the security guard, and then he's talking to what's his name, Elias or something.
Yeah,
And Elias is like, "Who are you? Who are you?" And Charles goes, "You know
you
who I
know
am.
who I am.
You know who I am."
And then he there's a car chase, and then he pulls into an alley, and then he turns around, and Elias is such a little bitch.
And he's like
And
trying to get out, but it has child lock on
and he's
it.
like sniveling, and he's like looking, he won't look at him, and he's like, I'll pay you, I'll double it. And then Charles is like, but it's not about the money. And then he knows he's dead.
And he just goes,
He's
"Elias,
look at me.
fuck you."
And then he shoots
And then
him.
he kills him. Oh,
So satisfying.
yeah.
And then he car bombs the car to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another one. So long distance headbanger, sweet sweet vengeance, ocean view sniper,
Okay.
gangster, who Alvaro's meeting with.
Yeah.
Okay, gimbal sniper, Taliban destruction,
What was the name of the game?
best kill.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about the wedding because that's not
No.
that should not be in the candidacy for best kill. That
No.
was let me just make that clear.
I think the one that I was like, "Hell yeah, brother," was the you one.
Yeah, that was so
That
good.
was the one that I was. The long distance one was wild because it's the beginning of the show,
yeah.
and it just sets the precedent for how good of a shot he is,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that was really cool. I don't know how I feel about
The gimbal,
the Taliban one,
where he kills the high value target.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
it's probably not the best. It's fun though. It's just fun to be in a different environment and see him in his military unit and where he came from.
I think the ocean sniper one was crazy.
That was really good.
Yeah. What did you think though about him killing his unit?
It seemed like he did not like what happened at the wedding, but it wasn't clear why he didn't like it.
I think he felt like they were trigger happy, and then they were covering up what they did.
Right, but like, did he dislike that on moral grounds, or did he dislike how messy it was? Because he's very neat, and he's like, and that was his justification for, because they do some like work on the side, where they do a couple of hits for this guy, and they get paid really well, and they realize, oh wait, if we could get out of the army, we could have a really lucrative career doing this. And they want to, but then after the wedding massacre happens, he's like, okay, yeah, we're doing this, and I'm destroying the unit, making it look like we died so that we can get away and start our business. But why did he do it?
But really, how did he get away with them thinking that he died? There weren't enough bodies. There weren't enough teeth.
No, I don't know. Well, maybe everyone just got just atomized or whatever.
It wasn't that big.
Well, it was a pretty big explosion.
Sure, but not enough that they wouldn't be able to count bodies. And also, what happened to his spotter? I wish that they would have told us what happened to his spotter.
I think that's coming in season 2.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They can't leave that hanging
Right.
because he went with him. But okay, so what's your choice though? Was it the Sweet Sweet Vengeance for best kill?
Well, I guess it depends on what you say is best. Most satisfying was the vengeance. The craziest one I think was the gimbal though,
Yeah.
because you see him do it. Because the ocean view I think is probably where he practiced the gimbal with that shot,
Yeah.
but you don't see that that's what
Yeah.
happens. So I think it would have to be the one where you actually see the gimbal was the most
Yeah.
satisfying.
That was so cool.
That was crazy.
And I like looked it up on Reddit. I was like, would that work to put a sniper rifle on a gimbal? I don't I don't know if it's ever been done, but apparently the military does use like gimbal technology like that to stabilize
I believe it.
things, but like not necessarily a single shot sniper
Why wouldn't they?
operation has been done that we know of. But like I saw a lot of comments like I was in the military and I remember thinking like it would be so helpful if you could strap a gun to a gimbal in certain situations where you it could just be stabilized like from a helicopter or from a boat. And when I saw it happen in Day of the Jackal, I literally stood up and cheered. I was like, I've had this thought for years.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's not. It makes sense
Yeah, it
that
does.
he would be able to do it that way. You
Yeah.
know,
That's what's cool about this show is it's like some of the stuff is probably unrealistic.
but they do it in a way that you're like, I
I
can
could
believe
see
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the 2-part barrel.
Hmm.
Sure, if you say so. Yeah, maybe a gun like that is really
Well,
impossible to make.
and
Basically,
3D printing.
3D
And
printing that gun.
like, okay, sure.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know enough
yeah.
about it, but
Maybe,
okay,
maybe
sure.
it's possible.
Yeah.
And then the gimbal thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Best location, many locations. Which is the best? Home in Croatia or home in Cadiz?
What do you mean home in Croatia?
That's where UDC lives.
Oh, I love his house in Spain.
Yeah, it's really good.
And like depending on where you're standing, you can see the ocean.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, last game. Ready?
Hmm.
Which unnecessary kill was the most frustrating? Security guy, office lady, traffic stop guys. Oh, yeah, in France.
Oh, that one was sad.
Traffic stop guys, gay Estonian guy Erasmus, Alvaro, lasagna and friend. I think I was supposed to write Bianca and friend there. Norman, or the old couple.
What was the name of it? The most sad.
Most Which unnecessary kill was the most frustrating?
Oh,
I guess Bianca wasn't really unnecessary, but it kind of was because it was never in his plan. I'm saying these are the kills that he is not intending to do.
the old couple was the most sad. I'm gonna change this to the most sad.
Okay,
The old couple, because I think
that was rough.
he didn't want to kill them.
No,
You know, the old lady stabs him, and he's like, "Why did you do that?" So now he has to kill them.
right, because they're gonna turn him in
Right?
if he lets them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was sad. I think him killing Rasmus was rough because of how personal it was.
yeah.
He, whatever I can't remember. He chokes the guy out basically,
No,
doesn't he?
he like breaks something in his neck and
Yeah,
yeah.
that one was rough. I didn't like that one. Those are the two that I hated. So how does Alvaro die? Doesn't
He gets shot by Bianca.
Yeah, so that he shouldn't even be on that list.
But do you feel bad for Bianca's friend though? He was cool. I liked him.
Whatever.
Okay. What about Norman?
No, like I said, I think that's how Norman would have wanted to go.
I haven't the foggiest idea what you're talking about. We should start using that. I haven't the foggiest idea what you're talking about. Okay. I think that's all I've got.
Okay,
Do you got aught?
have a secret that I've been keeping from you.
Okay.
I watched the first season of The OC.
Oh.
Does Adam Brody, is that his name?
Uh-huh.
Does he always play a Jewish person?
I think he's Jewish.
He is Jewish.
Yeah.
Does he always play a Jewish person?
Was he Jewish in American fiction?
Honestly?
Undisclosed.
Yeah, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
could see it. He was Jewish in, what was that show with Kristen Bell?
Yeah.
And he's Jewish in this.
He's not Jewish in The Kid Detective.
Okay.
Overtly, as far as I know.
Okay.
He's definitely not Jewish in Ready or Not.
I do not think you would like this show.
Really?
Especially not season 1. Season 2 is where they introduce and have bands come in.
Well, I'm not going to watch a show just because of the music. There's no fucking way
Right.
that's happening.
This is a stupid teenage show
Yeah.
from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You would not like it.
All right. Okay.
But really, the only note I wrote down, there were stuff that I should have written down, but I wrote down, does Adam Brody always play a Jew? They make jokes about Gentiles and Jews, and it's actually really funny. They have you heard of what a wasp is?
Yeah, it's like a bee, an aggressive,
Nope. When they
bad bee.
refer to a person as a wasp,
No.
it's a white Anglo-Saxon person.
Okay.
And so they refer to people as wasps, so we'd be wasps,
Uh-huh.
right? And I can't think of it right now, but he comes up with this idea where it's Hanukkah and Christmas mixed together.
Christonica.
No, do it the other way around.
Christ on a cross.
No, other way around.
Cross on a Christ?
No, Hanukkah first.
Hana Christ. That sounds
Hana-
alarmingly close to Holocaust. Let's not let's not do that.
But basically, you know, you have the 9 days or 8 days of gift giving, and then you have Christmas at the end.
Okay.
So he just gets the best of both worlds.
So 10 days of gift giving.
No, Christmas is like the last day
Yeah.
of it. And he's like, this is like the ultimate holiday. And why am I blanking on it? But I don't know. This show was, you wouldn't like it.
Okay.
And you've been talking about it. And it was really hard for me to keep this a secret. There's a lot of episodes in season 1. There's like 26 episodes.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. That bothers me.
Yeah.
Are they all like 20 minutes long though?
No.
Really?
Longer.
30?
I think they're 40 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
26?
Yeah.
So what? They were doing multiple episodes. I guess there's 56 weeks in a year, so that would have taken
56?
52. 52.
Okay, thank you.
So they're going to do it takes half a year for that season to come out?
Yep.
Whoa.
Wild, huh?
Literally. 26 you said, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally half the year.
Okay. Well, I was just going to tell you that I watched that show and you wouldn't really like it, and it was fine. You know, it kind of reminded me of like One Tree Hill or something like that. So if you like that type of stuff, you'll probably like this show.
Okay.
It wasn't horrible. Some of the jokes were good. The plot of the show was just okay.
All right.
Anyways.
Well, that's it. Next up, The Bear, I guess. We're watching White Lotus, but we'll probably finish The Bear first, and then maybe Slow Horses. I would like Micah to watch Mr. In Between, but we'll see.
Okay. Have a great week. Bye.